Throughout my research and planning, my understanding of opening scenes has progressed massively. I now understand all the conventions and all the certain aspects in a horror opening scene that make it a good or an entertaining film to watch. So after research and planning, it made it clear when I was actually producing our media product that I knew what to include, such as like the cinematography, the mise-en-scène, the editing, which is one of my key skills, so I focused a lot on that. Also stuff like music, which I would also say is one of my biggest skills because I produce and take music tech, so I thought I'd definitely produce my music for our horror film. For horror itself, editing is massive in creating a good atmosphere. So stuff like fast cuts and like really nice tracking shots, stuff like that, it just builds up the atmosphere of a horror film. It's something that we had to, as a group, focus on heavily. Music as well, having it, say, match to the transitions of the shots is really important. The music also has to make it kind of creepy. If you have the music can depend, it can depend on a horror movie being bad or good. The atmosphere can change completely with the wrong type of music. So, like I said before, I produced the music on my own on a software called Logic Pro 9. I'm most familiar with this software because I use it a lot in my music tech class. Producing myself allowed me to adapt it around the opening scene, so it made it a lot easier for us to match it. And so, for example, the transitions between scenes, I could cut the music or produce it so it sounded more like it was made to that film instead of something I got off the internet. For example, when this music's used, like when it's effective, is the shot in our opening scene when one of the characters receives a text. It's quite an intimidating text, and we match the music so that it kind of reflects on his emotions. So maybe like the deep bass drums kind of reflected on his panic or how frightened he is. So for the environment for a horror film, we had to focus on this a lot, like the mise-en-scène, the environment, the location. This was a big deal for a horror opening scene because it depends. It's very conventional. We decided on the woods purely because it's kind of enclosed in kind of like a small environment. At the same time, it was a clear line of view from characters. A film such as Eden Lake is a very good example of this, and the location is very effective. Also, we watched a film recently called Goodnight Mummy. The use of the woods in that film was very effective. We watched this before we even started planning our horror film, so it definitely inspired us to use that in our final opening scene. Cinematography wise, after research we discovered that the majority of camera angles and positions in a horror movie, there was a lot of close-ups with characters' emotions so they could display them clearly. Wide angles used quite a lot just to display the position of a character. So say you have, in our film, we've got a scene where one of the characters walks past and another character is in the distance, and you can only achieve this by using the wide angle camera angle. POVs, we used a POV in our opening scene to show an enemy or another character spying on the main character in the film. And the POV is very effective because it kind of makes the audience feel like they're in the opening scene themselves and walking around themselves. It was used a lot in horror films such as Evil Dead. It's used a lot in this film. It's very effective. Going back to music, films such as It Follows, the music in that was very conventional. It Follows was a bit different. It was more on the tech side, but it also had that really creepy feel to it, and it was something that inspired me as a producer to make it sound similar to that. So I used that as an inspiration or a starting point. It reflected the emotion of the scene quite well, I thought. Also, some of my colleagues thought that the tech kind of feel was a bit different. It kind of made it stand out, which is something that you always need in a horror movie.